My name is Harald Bauder. Welcome to this book launch. I'm the director of the Ryerson Center for Immigration and Settlement, and also the editor of the program of about 25 minutes or so. But before we begin a part of this program, is that I also want to give you a little bit of a background of how we came about producing this book in the first place. The book is the result of a conference that we had about a bit over a year ago here at Ryerson in October 2010. And that conference was called the Migration and the Global City. And in the book, we put some of the best papers that were presented at the conference and now bringing them out as a collection. The conference was also a vehicle to announce the research center, the Ryerson Center for Immigration and Settlement. And in this way, the book is very closely related with the center. And it's no accident that we have immigration and settlement in the title of the book and the center. And in terms of timing, I think it's also an important milestone coming out with this book, because the center, RCIS, is a relatively new center, and we're just defining ourselves, and we're just trying to work out what we're all about and what we're doing. And I think this book is actually telling exactly what we want to do and the kind of activities that we're planning. And let me just highlight a few points that gives you an impression not only of the book but also the center. For example, in the book, we're bringing together established and emerging scholars and letting them engage in the context of this volume. We're also bringing together academics and practitioners. And these are kind of two aspects that we're also highlighting in the center. We're covering in the book a large terrain, and there are 5 sections with themes ranging from citizenship and rights, migrants as labor, issues of identity, housing, and some of the emerging hip topics in immigration and settlement studies. We also have a very particular geographical focus. And we have here in Toronto at Ryerson, we have the advantage that we have our field, immigration and settlement studies, just outside of our door. And this sets the empirical context of the book. A lot of studies are empirical studies on Toronto. And this is also the kind of research that we want to do with the center. At the same time, we are linking to international debates on immigration and settlement. And this is what we do at Ryerson here very well, linking the empirical context of Toronto as a case study of one of the most diverse cities in the world and the immigrant gateway of Canada, linking that to the international debates, academic debates, but also debates otherwise in immigration and settlement. So the strengths of the book very much reflect RCIS, what RCIS is about, and also what the kind of activities that we're planning. Before we move on in the program, I'd like to thank a few people that have been very important in the context of producing this book, and also that have been expressing support for our center, the establishment of the center. First of all, here at Ryerson, very important has been the support by the Provost and Vice President Academic, Alan Shepard, but also the Vice President of Research and Innovation, Wendy Sukier, the Dean of Community Services, Usha George, and the Dean of Arts, Jean-Paul Baudreau. And together, these people and their offices that they're representing, they are really a very strongly supportive and supportive team. And without that support, neither the center nor the book would exist today. The book has an editorial advisory board, and that was very useful to have. There were 3 members on this board: Ryerson, John Shields, and Batu Tiska. Thank you for your advice. At Canadian Scholars Press, I have to hand it to the press. We produced this book in roughly 1 year, and I produced other books too that took much longer. And if you're interested in producing a book with a quick turnaround, then approach the people who are in the back here from Canadian Scholars Press. Very important in the production and in the commissioning of the book, Lily Kalsevich, the commissioning editor, the production editor, Colleen Wormald, and the marketing team, Jessica Hale and Stephen Nesbitt. And then I'd also like to acknowledge the people who have put this event together. First of all, the Chang School for making these facilities available. I think they're really, really great. The Ryerson bookstore, which is selling the book right here in the corner. So if you want to pick up a copy at the end of the event or during the event, it's available for sale. And then our RCIS team, consisting of our coordinator, Bobby Cameron, and the assistant coordinators, I'm calling them for now, Megan Symington and Fatima Siddiq. And now I'd like to hand it over to our Provost and Vice President Academic, Alan Shepard, who has been, as I mentioned, one of the great supporters of the Center on this publication project, and he has a few remarks to give us.
I won't be long. I'm on my way to a couple more events tonight, so please forgive me if I talk and run. I was going to buy a copy of the book, but I see it's cash only. I'm good for it, Harold. If you'd send me a copy, I'll give you the cash. I never run around with more than middle of year 1? Almost the end of year 1. It feels like the end of the year, even though it's still January. This is an important work for Ryerson. We've had a long and distinguished history of being engaged in work of immigration and settlement, and the work will be continued and extended and expanded now with the development of the new Ryerson Center that started this past year. I'm really pleased to be a supporter of it and a big fan of it. I'm an immigrant myself. It takes longer to become a Canadian landed permanent resident than it does to publish this book, so that says something. I've experienced firsthand what that's like. And whenever I talk to taxi drivers, which I always do, they're always as surprised to find out that the person in the back seat is an immigrant, in many cases just like they are. It's quite a humbling experience to be an immigrant to a nation, and to know that people are out there doing the kind of intellectual work that you're doing to help to understand that experience, to improve that experience is very powerful. So I want to say thank you to the community of scholars who are here tonight. Say congratulations, Harold, and to all those of you who may have contributed chapters to the book, and we wish you all the very best and success in the coming days, months, and years. Thanks again.
Okay, and now I'd like to invite Rick Walker, who is the Vice President Book Publishing for Canadian Scholars Press, to say a few words.
Just want to say how delighted we are to be here to celebrate the publication of Professor Bauder's new book. As he's already indicated to you, the book's came out of a collection of papers that were presented in October 2010. And when Professor Bauder approached the press with his proposal for the book based on the papers presented at this conference, we immediately recognized the need for such a timely and comprehensive exploration of immigration and settlement in both Canadian and global contexts. We are delighted to be part of the launch of this book and to have played a part in publication. It has been an absolute pleasure by all accounts, to work with Professor Bauder and his team. And we're very, very pleased and delighted to have been part of that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rick. And now we come to our main speaker, which is Callenges Murphy-Kilbride. And let me just give an introduction give you an introduction to her many accomplishments. Callenges is a professor emerita in the School of Early Childhood Education here at Ryerson, and among her many accomplishments, she's one of the 3 founding principal investigators of RCIS, the Ontario Metropolis Centre, of which she is still a senior scholar. Recently, she has served as programs advisor in the GEM School for Continuing Education, also here at Ryerson. And she has published research, among other things, on parenting needs of recent immigrants, the issues of immigrant adolescents, immigrants and homelessness, immigrant women and English language acquisition, and immigrants who arrive in Canada as seniors. And this book is dedicated to Callenges. It says here, for Callenges Murphy-Kilbride, who has been a driving force of immigration and settlement studies in Toronto and beyond. And I think it's fair to say that neither the center nor the book would exist without Callenges' struggle. If I could invite you up here, first receive a copy of your book, and then also to speak with us.
Well, I must say this was a delightful, somewhat embarrassing surprise to be so honored. But first, I really have to heartily congratulate the editor, Harald, and the authors in the book, because it's a very useful contribution. But second, thank you very much for the great honor of the book's dedication. I'm very cognizant of that. But I must assure you that all of the work that I've done has always been part of a team effort. And so I accept the honor of the dedication in the spirit of accepting it for all my colleagues with whom I've worked across the years, without whom I would not have had the research reports and publications that I've been blessed of having worked with such an amazingly rich diversity of colleagues. And so, who better than you to move us forward, researchers, policymakers, and practitioners alike, with such a potential project. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Callenges, very much. I have one more group of people to thank, and those are the chapter authors. If you are, and there are many of them here, so I'm very glad that you could come. If you would like to pick up your author's copy, you can do this with the people from Canadian Scholars Press at the back here in the corner. And again, thanks for being here. And otherwise, this brings our official program to an end. Please stick around to mingle, and we also have a bar set up, and let's share a drink or two together. Thank you.